Okay, we're live. So, everyone that's going to be watching this, thank you for joining us. I have Virginia Drake back on, my friend Ginny. She's a fascinating woman, and I wanted to have her back on to go a little bit deeper with some of her experiences because I heard an amazing interview that she had. His name was Jeff, what?
Jeff read it's Jeff. It's a podcast, and I don't know exactly, but you can look it up. But
Okay.
I mean, I've got like right now 136,000 hits, and
So,
yeah,
it, excellent interview. So, as I listened to it, and Ginny and I are friends, we've covered a lot of things, even personally, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper because I am the type of person I do things that actually interest me. So Ginny interests me. So I wanted to have her back on and to go a little bit deeper, just so I could, for me personally, so I could have a better understanding.
absolutely.
Okay, now and keep in mind, guys, Ginny has had her own private business for 15 years,
Yes,
and
please,
she's been blown out of the water,
literally.
and it takes time to transition into a
Well,
new
I don't have
life.
a staff. If I had a staff, it would have been easy. But hundreds and thousands of calls, I didn't have a staff. Thank God for Jeremy.
But that, so just go easy with Ginny. But anyway,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So, we're going to be hitting a lot of topics today, but I'm going to try to be concise. Now, we've talked before about your near death experiences, and I do have that, like on more than one interview. But I feel like one thing I never asked you, when you were having the heart attack, did you actually code? Did your heart stop?
It didn't. I was out of body. So I've always thought it was but when you really realize, I've had several out of bodies with the drownings and things like, but I don't know if it was because I did not flatline at all, but I wasn't there. So it had been about, out of body, but I had an understanding of it, but I didn't have an understanding. It's a different kind of thing that I had such a bad heart. They gave me 6 months to live.
And they
And
went to do a heart
yeah,
transplant.
they want to do a heart transplant. That's when when I was given that information, don't take a heart transplant. I thought, wow, but
Oh
this
my
is,
gosh.
huh?
I just got some, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was and you tell me if this feels like truth. That was the best advice that you could have gotten, Jenny. I just heard like it came this way.
Uh-huh.
Had you done that, the heart is like the center of the universe. You
Hmm.
you would not have, do you know what I'm saying? I understand it's a heart transplant, but your heart is Virginia Drake's
Heart.
heart.
That's exactly. And I've talked to people about organ donors and all of that. I'm not an organ donor because, and we're going to go on a different place, but this is because I've been in it. And when you put somebody else's body, organ in somebody, they have memory from that
They do.
organ.
They
And I've
do.
had people that have come in here and said, is this a possibility? I am doing something today. This guy was a non-alcoholic, and all of a sudden he had a drink. He wanted beer. And he asked me, and I said, well, yeah, because that's somebody else's cells, their thought, because everything in our body is memory. It's not what they think it is. So yeah, I'm very conscious about this because maybe we were supposed to go out. Maybe it what's so bad about dying? This is like I said, this plane is all about death. It's not about living. It's about dying, dying in forest, dying in trees, dying in grass, dying, dying, dying. Then most of all, dying. I remember when they did the COVID thing, and it took me right back to Vietnam. When I was a kid, they would count all the dead, and you'd see it at dinner.
Right.
So what did you
I
do?
absolutely.
Yes.
But I read books, I've seen interviews where I want to get back to the heart because it does direct us.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
knows things before the brain does. It
Mhm.
registers first with the heart. Would you
Right.
agree with that?
Yes, it's a vibration. It goes to universal vibration. That you can
There,
tell why things got turned down here. It's upside down.
but I have literally seen interviews and things of that where the person received a heart transplant and all of a sudden they had a desire, like you're saying, for things that they never cared for, like fast food, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and just different music and all this stuff. And when it kept happening, she was having memories that had nothing to do with her.
Right.
And then she tracked somehow the donor. I think she started searching in a newspaper
Yeah.
and figured it out, contacted the family, and it turned out, and it was right before she went to their house. She had to go get, like, I guess a KFC chicken nuggets and all this stuff. And
Oh,
then she couldn't help it. She had to. And as she went to their house, she was talking to them. That was the last act that that heart in a body did.
oh wow.
As he had
Wow.
a motorcycle, it was their son.
Yeah.
And as he pulled out, he got creamed. Like, I guess he didn't see the truck coming.
So it's the
And
last memory of the soul.
right, and the KFC stuff was in his leather jacket, like tucked in. He was gonna eat it when he got home. So yeah, there was a lot of there was facts. You know what I mean? I don't think you could call that a coincidence.
Yeah.
So I all the times you always told that story. Don't get a heart transplant. Boop. That was the best advice you could have gotten. I never really understood it before this moment.
Hmm. Well, it is. It sounds crazy. I mean, a lot of people, when I tell that story, they look at me as crazy. Why was it on the TV? Well, I've several things came out of my TV. In 1980, there was a piece of my soul that went, and I ended up going to the Everglades to pick it up. Later, 20, almost 10 years later. So this is happening to all of us. Pieces of our souls are out there or coming back in. We've got to start really waking up that there's a lot more going on here. Just like, okay, yesterday I had an interview that's supposed to be going into Vietnam. This is when I really knew how powerful our minds are. And to be honest, I'm tired. And you picked that up. You know, I was supposed to go in there to you last week. I was exhausted. I haven't worked like this in 15 years. I mean, I have a private business. They fly me in or take me, I don't do anything hard. I don't have a staff. And it was like, and then poor Jeremy, he figured it up how to do the Zoom thing because I looked at him and I said, I am absolutely overwhelmed. But I wasn't overwhelmed by energy. I was overwhelmed by the world of man, obligational. Obligation is not the same thing as a spiritual opportunity. That's an obligation. And I remember yesterday, my blood pressure, I have blood pressure problems anyway, because I get excited when I'm working with somebody in a session. I can feel it, but it's not a scary thing. But this time I was having a high blood pressure all the way up to 198 over 150. I should have gone to the hospital, and I've done it before. And I'm not, and let me tell you, do not, this is to your people that you're talking to. Don't do this unless you have an understanding of what you're doing. I've been doing this for 25 years. I would never tell you to do that. Go when you're told, because I had to go before. When I get a call to go to the ER, I don't listen. I mean, I listen very strongly.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
I listen because, well, let's go back to this. That this day, yesterday was, I've had it. I mean, I've worked with it and I've been breathing because the blood pressure is all about the brain. And the reason why I know this is I have this little pill that the doctors, they only give you 8 or 10. But they said, if you get over 180, take one of these. I mean, they're teeny. And I asked him, I said, does that drop my blood pressure? He said, no, it's a mind altering drug. And I thought, then high blood pressure has nothing to do with it. It's all in your mind. So I started really training myself how to, when I feel it coming up, taking that breath that I go in, and I mean, I cleanse all the way back. You can, when you really understand how this works with this breath work I've been telling, it's deeper work than you, and you can go all the way to the back of your head with your breath, with your breath.
it's true. And I know that you've shared this, but that's not what happened yesterday.
No, because
You tried,
yeah.
but there was something else going on, right?
Yes. And that's what I was bringing up the mind. So when I thought, well, this is it, I'm tired of dealing with this. And I remember saying,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and I said, I just put my blood pressure cup, I put it in my bed. And I said, if this is where I'm going out, then I'm going to make sure that they know that this was the problem, So, and people think that's crazy, but I mean, I'm not afraid to do that. So all of a sudden, I was doing it, and I would go in and check it every 10 to 15 minutes to see, and it wasn't going down, and it wasn't going down, and it wasn't going down. And I could feel it because my problem, it's not my old over one. It's my one that won't rest my heart. My heart will not rest. So I sat there, and I don't know what it was, but when you're in this state of mind, all of a sudden this beautiful voice said, it's not about what your blood pressure is. It's about you're not being honest with yourself. And I'm like, now when am I not being honest? Well, it turned out I was mad because what I'd done to myself, I'm going to go all the way. When I went out to the universe, and this is true, God, I can dance out there, but I was out there, I just said, I'm bored. You got to be careful. And I wasn't, not that it's not bad to do that, but I mean, I came down because I've done it before. Usually I have new clients will come in and I'll go, yeah, that's pretty good. This time I got Jeff. I mean, when that happened, within 15 minutes, Jeff was already there. I mean, he popped out of nowhere. I didn't even know anything where that man was. I don't pay attention to that stuff. So I just, sure. I had no idea. And now I've put myself into a situation that I haven't done for years and years and years. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed at me. I'm pissed at everything that's going on. Why did I do that? I've got all these email, and then I'm obligational. I'm a type A personality. And that went right in through me. That's what made me have a heart attack the first time, is because I'm very intense about my work and what. So I'm feeling that. And I remember when I'd open up the emails, I'd want to get mad because I'd have hundreds of them sitting there. That's work.
You hold on. You said you got mad when
Yeah,
you
yeah. I would open it up and it'd be like, oh, they're all still there. There would be people. I think I'd clean them out the night before. And then they would be there appeared the next day when I got up, there's more and more.
So
And
you're waking up. To me, it sounds like you're waking up. You go to check something, and again, overwhelmed. It
it
seems like
is.
overwhelmed.
I thought I'd clean it up. You think you got it all. I mean, I've been doing this now for almost 10 days, like this, with podcasts calling me, people trying to get a hold of me, they writing letters to me. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was horrified because that's not my life. And then you feel obligated because they are all written. And finally, that's what I did the second video. I said, do not write anything, but do you want a session or do you want to be on the Zoom meeting? We can't, it's overwhelming.
You needed my friend Vanessa years ago when I was starting out. I wish I would have listened more. Great advice. And it's a statement. She said to me, there's one of you and a lot of them.
Yep.
One of you, many, many. And at the time, like when you are like, I want to share this, we lose ourselves, our time, our privacy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many of them, they keep coming out. I've all hours of the night. I'm sure if you did, I don't know where you leave your phone at
Oh,
night, but
I was in my bedroom and I'd hear ding,
yes,
ding.
I was going to say, ping,
And I would think,
ping.
oh, because I have been 15 years in this. Privately, they'll fly me in, or I'll take myself in. And I don't have any of that. And I mean, I'm 72 years old. And it was like, what? I mean, I've done a lot. Listen, I've done TV, podcast, everything. Never had this results.
Yeah,
But
but
what it
you
told
started
me,
it.
And what it did was telling me how people are starved to death to understand the truth. And but people don't understand how it hurts us. I'm a sensitive, and I had to stop reading some of the stuff that they said on my videos because it hurts so bad to think when you think people really don't understand you. Well, my family didn't understand me, and there was a lot of meanness here in my own town. People thought I was crazy. I was very highly reserved. Reared in the community, and then people would run away from me in the Kroger store. It hurt. And I've been doing that for 25 years.
I will tell you, after you and I had that brief conversation, I told you to go lay down. You asked me to look. I did. It hurt me physically. The
Oh, yeah.
energy from the comments was toxic.
Oh,
And I
and
had to finally put it down, like shut my laptop,
yes,
because I was like, oh, it was painful.
it is painful
Because it's
because you
not just
work.
the words, it's the energy behind it.
It had nothing to do with the words. It had everything to do how they threw it. Now, some people had said things very nasty in flat out words. It didn't affect me, but there was some. You felt the energy come out it and hit me like that. That's why my blood pressure and everything, because I
Yes.
haven't been under that state. I mean, that's the way it was at the very beginning when I was 51 years old. I've been doing that since. And I got to get where I was kind of leathery. I could get it off of me or it would fall off of me like water. But I'm I'm much more sensitive. I've done a lot more. Something happened to my camera. Oh, there it is. And something I'm more sensitive than I've ever been. And what happened yesterday, definitely I'm not crazy. And I know what happened because when I realized that what I'd done is gotten into the, obligation of the world of man, not into the spirit of this, that I really wasn't loving these people. I was angry with them for calling me. But I realized then that I wasn't telling my truth. And that's what I tell everybody, be true to yourself. I wasn't being true, but I wasn't even aware that it was there because the blood pressure problem was overriding everything else that I couldn't even feel what was going on. So when it hit, it was like I jumped up and I called the interviewer and told her I'm not going in. And I get Jeremy, to go in there. And I remember when I got in that bed, it was like, I took a breath, and within seconds, and I'm not saying that, seconds, my blood pressure dropped to 117 over 70.
Because you listened and honored yourself.
Yes. But also, it told me that my body was trying to tell me, don't do this, don't do this.
Exactly.
And I mean, how many times have we don't listen to those thoughts and those feelings, and we end up having injury? I remember many times my higher self would say, "Don't turn there." I've been in car accidents, 5 car, and I heard it as plain as day, but it was sounded like my father, and my father's been dead forever, or at the time at 1968, and I was getting ready to turn, and he said, "Don't turn that way." I heard it, didn't listen, and I got slammed. Well, the first time you get slammed, you start thinking the second time, after the third time, you finally realize there's something going on. When I got the 2x4 in a car accident with my younger son, it almost killed both of us.
It doesn't always have to be so harsh.
No, well, I've learned.
People have gotten those,
I learned because you got to tell the universe how you want to bring it in, and now always
yeah.
be very conscious when you go in there to tell the universe. Because I've put my hand down, and Jeremy, I remember when I met the Council of 12, I went up there
Oh,
and
you're moving right where I want to talk.
yeah,
Let's
well,
go
I
into the
went up
Council of
there and
12.
I slammed my hand down on their table, and it was a table that did this. And I said, I've had it. I've absolutely had it. And you've been messing with me and messing with me. And I said, I'm done. Now, either you work with me or I'm going to cut out. Boom.
Okay.
Done.
Explain to me and the audience what exactly is the Council of 12, or to the best of your ability.
Yeah, because I never had heard anything like that. I didn't even know anything about that. What they are to me is they're not guides. I think personally, now this is me. I think everything, all these guides that we're meeting, or the council or the council of three, I think that's fragments of ourselves. And it could be streams of collective that we're picking up. because when I sat there, they were in robes, and I think I've told, and they had rope around it, but it was golden rope. But they
Mhm.
had a room that I could see and windows to go look at the planets, which that I think is a program, because that's the only way you're going to have a relationship, because that's all you know. Okay. You got to really look at a lot of things, because it's not the same, because you're still only thinking about your programming here on earth. So your filter is pretty tight by that time, that way. But I remember I would say something, what is this? And they go, hee. And I would hear them, but I never saw their faces. I only saw their vibration. But they could talk to me, and it was a strange voice. The one, one would be in a single voice, but then there was another one that would be in a choir. And they said the same, it was exactly identical together. And I would think that is really weird. I shouldn't be able to hear a choir at the same time I'm hearing a voice of choir. It was just because, but that's how it is. When you cross over, there's no reality that we even know there. We only know from our programs that we come in with the filters. And a lot of that's because when I crossed over, people, they would have their families would come in. It was always a different perspective for everybody that I crossed over. It's because that is their perspective. That's what they see. And but when they finally leave, they come out like stars or lights or something like that. But it's really amazing. What amazes me is that most people don't even understand that we even can do that. We've been so programmed to think we can't, and we can. And it's just like,
We can't or can, what exactly are you referring to?
well, we can do everything. Well, and that's what I said about Jesus. I said, Jesus came to me and said that. He said, whatever you can do, everything I can do, you can do. It's right there.
Right.
It's on John. I mean, why would he tell you that you could? And then you have the universe, I mean, the culture of the people say you can't, because that's blasphemy in the church. And I remember that. I mean, I felt, oh, I'm blaspheming. No, Jesus Christ looked right at me and turned into light. So I knew we were light. Also, I knew the science. We're electrical. And that is all we are. We're not anything but that. But we've made it flesh more stronger and overriding the spirit. And what's the first thing the Bible says? The spirit, I mean, the flesh is the weakest part of us.
Right. I'm just still trying to understand what the purpose or what you received. I know that you gave them the Council 12 hell. Like, I'm not tolerating
That
this
was
anymore.
way quite a while after I met them. They handed something to me when I first went up. I remember I was receiving something, but I didn't know what I was receiving. And one of them said, in telepathically, said, "You will not know this or experience this for 3 or 4 years because you're not ready to hear it or experience it." Okay. And I did. It wasn't like, words. It was like a knowledge that I was been given, that you don't even think about that kind of knowledge. It was just so different. And mine was so different because it was so spiritual and it was so godly. And, it just didn't have any scientifics about it. And it went well, but that's what I've been doing ever since, is you follow up with your heart, opening things up. And to be honest, I'm going to be honest with you now. I really lost it about 3 years, well, a year ago when my ex-husband died. And what I saw was going on, it hurt me. And that's why I blew a heart attack 9 months ago, because I was angry. See, that's what it all comes down to. It's all in the mind. It is not in your body. Your body is going to be rejecting anything that comes in with chemicals. We throw off a lot of chemicals in our mind, acid thoughts. It's right in there. But all these people that are mad, they feel like victims, they really are creating themselves to be a victim, because they don't see anything but a victim. They need to go in and find out what, because I was a victim. I know what a victim feels like. And I had to stop being a victim. I had to stand up and get my spine back up into its strength and say, I don't have to live like this. And we have been programmed to be victims, to be less than.
Powerless.
Yes, absolutely. They've been doing it a little bit at a time. Now everybody's going to say, who are they? I'm going to say exactly. It's got to be the military. It's got, I don't believe in aliens and all of that. But yet I have seen sprites. I have seen fairies. But that's in the earth level. I have never seen any alien that's ever come in to me or looked at me. I've seen people that are very awake. I mean, not awake, but very alive. And they turn into animals right in front of me, or they turned into a wolf, or they shape shift. And that's what I told the guy that I was talking to, Jeff. I said, are they aliens? I don't know. But I said, I know one thing, they look that way.
But just as you said, when you cross over, and it's funny because I was telling someone this the other day, with our programming, near death experiences or whatever crossing over is not always the same because it's your programming. If you expect to see something, generally, I think that's what you're going to receive. If you don't expect something, I know people that have near death experience. One person didn't believe in anything and he said there was just blackness, there was nothing. And I knew when I heard that, that was because he doesn't believe in anything,
That's exactly.
you
That's
know, but
exactly.
that's somebody I know personally,
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
and that has to be hell on wheels to have that kind of darkness within as much as on the outside. I mean,
So I
something
think
really,
that's why it's different. So when you say I don't believe in aliens or you've never encountered them, if it's not in your belief system,
I wouldn't
it's
see
the
it.
same could be true of fairies, whatever the situation.
Right.
Because wasn't there was it Columbus or the settlers? Like when the people came over in their ships,
Oh, yeah.
the Indians said,
That's
"How did you get
Columbus.
there?"
Yeah.
So
Big-
Columbus. So,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing if you don't believe in fairies.
Or you've never seen it. If
Right.
you've never seen it, that's what.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, because you don't know. That's what you're talking about. When Columbus came in, the natives have never seen anything like that. So they didn't know what it was, a sea person or thing coming in. They'd never seen white men. So
right.
yeah,
But
it's
they could
exactly,
not see the ships.
that's right.
So I do
That's
wonder
true.
about other things, right? Other frequencies, because I think everything is a frequency,
Yes.
and it's tuning into that frequency to have a match.
And that's what we were talking about is in this video that I've been in. The second one, it looked, I mean, I was disheveled and I could see where I felt like it at the very beginning, how that video came out to me. I could feel the energy on it. It was disheveled. Then I had to go back and look at it again and go back and then all of a sudden I could see it. And then I knew when you listen to these people, I don't know what she is. If she's got that shit going on her head, it was just, but then you've got to understand these people were not on the same frequency.
Right.
So when you're not, and we've been in that before, Daniela, we've been in a room full of party, we'd all be partying, but there would be always somebody that I would either think, ugh, but my whole thinking on that anymore is like, I'm going to go find them because obviously that's a good mirror for me. And I'm going to go after that mirror to find out where that is in me.
Right.
We all would see that as an opportunity to find out who we were instead of judging them or thinking they're wrong or something's wrong with them. I learned to go out and really receive them to see if that is a part of you as well. Because
Right.
we've been shadowing ourselves, pushing everything away. We've got to wake up and not be afraid anymore to really experience what is going on. We've got a beautiful nature of God all around us, but we're so harsh in the other part of the world, we don't see the nature of God anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if you'd be able to answer this one. I'm going to, even though I know the crossover experience, we'll just say that. And you had said something about fear or ego stops you and regret. Like, I
Oh,
guess you were talking about a life review, like we stop to
you do?
go
Yeah.
through things in life because of fear or
Yeah.
ego.
Well, I had a life review. And the only reason why I can say that's what it was like is I was out in the universe. I could see the stars. But there's a movie called Contact, and it kind of felt the same way when she met her husband, I mean, her father coming at toward her. That's exactly its plasma. He was walking through the plasma, but that's sort of what that was like when I was I was sitting in a director's chair, and it was a big director's chair, and God was behind me with his hands right here, and he said, all I'm asking you to do is just look. He wasn't asking me to think about it and I remember it felt like a dot of light coming all the way from the universe, and it was coming back around like this, and it was coming, and then it went view real fast, and it stopped exactly at 46 because that's where I ended. And he said, what do you just feel it? But see, when you're in there, you don't have a thinking process like that. You felt everything that came through your body. I mean, you knew when you did bad, you knew when you did. Now, when I say bad, it's our judgment of what bad is. The God that I met was the most loving, kind, and those words are very small. Those words don't even match what I saw, because when I for years, I guess for 5 or 6 years, I couldn't even talk about knowing God because it was so sacred that I couldn't even get it in my vocal cords at all. And then one day, Spirit said, you need to start speaking about me. And I was very scared because when you start talking about God, people get offended or they don't believe you. And to me, that was the most sacred time in my beingness, to be with that. And, and God is like a light, but it's an intelligent light. It doesn't look like a person, doesn't look like a man. It's the most, there's just no words. And I didn't want anybody to taint that because it's beautiful. And so I became very careful about telling certain people because I knew they would honor what I was saying. Because how many times do you think I've heard, like, oh, yeah, right, and they throw their eyes up or they throw their head back? It hurts. We really feel when they throw that head up or throw those eyes out, shoot your eyes up. It hurts me uh, because you already know that they don't care. They just threw me out of their whole their sight, basically, threw me out. And people when that are energetic, it's painful. It's
Mm-hmm.
painful. I mean, when I first started speaking, I remember I stood in my living room, and you've been there, Daniela. And I had been working for, at that time, 5 or 6 years. I did not start working until God told me I could. And there is a difference. I don't care what anybody says. I was following the word of God through the spirit of who he, what it was. And I remember all of a sudden I was sitting in my living room, and I stood up and I raised my hands up in my living room, and I said, I'm ready to speak for you. And the next week I had my first speaking engagement, and they paid me $1,000. So that's what you've got to understand. We've got to be very conscious, but it can be done, but you got to be still in it, doing it.
But when you were looking at the life review and it stopped at 46, you were saying that you felt everything. And I've always believed if we cause somebody, we take a
Yes.
misstep, right? And we cause people a great deal of pain, it is my belief that we feel that.
Oh, you feel well, and I've said this before. I told people, I said, if you're going to steal from somebody, if you're going to rob them, or you're going to hurt them or murder them, that comes back on you because you don't have a body anymore. Your soul will feel oh, it's excruciating. It's excruciating because I remember I had a poem with my mother because there was always a contingent between us, and I could feel her pain of what she felt when I would be mean to her, and I was not nice. I wasn't always a nice child. And I thought, oh my God. So when I crossed over, I felt my boys and the people that had said things to me, you felt every bit of it. And then also you're going to feel everything that you put out because that comes back 10 times more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I said, if you really knew what you're going to face when you cross over, you think about it very carefully because it is painful.
It is. I've had that experience, and To me, the best way I could describe it, it's like when you buy chicken from a store and there's no skin on it, that's what I felt like.
Oh, wow. I've never heard. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I just, and the energy coming
You
at
mean
me,
like
it was,
being you pulled the skin off of you? Now I have
I
felt,
had no skin. I had no
okay, you
skin.
were just, you were raw, you were
I was
naked.
raw. I was naked. And the energy was overwhelming. And I was like, no, 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 enough, 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 stop, stop, stop.
That's it.
A panic. And I realized I had asked for that experience. Like, what would it feel like? And I was given it, that experience. And I freaked out. So it's intense. And I think if people knew that everything that I think of it more as everything I put out there,
Hmm.
it's coming back to me, like I said, tenfold.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm not concerned with other people's behavior because I cannot do anything about that. That's their business. But what I can do is try to behave a certain way, code of ethics for me personally. Now, I remember also, do you think that's where regret maybe comes in? From either doing things or not doing things when we cross over the feeling of regret?
Well, what I saw is regret. This is the wildest thing. I walked in this room and it had an elevator. And it just and it opened up, and all of my regret was in this elevator. Everything. And I went, and then it went closed real fast. Says that's what regret is that you did not have an opportunity to change something from you or somebody else. You made the choice not to. Yes, it's big regret. And it I remember all I could think of is, oh my God, I could have said more to my mother. I was regretful for my father. That was the big one that I was more regretful than anything because I was 16. Nobody told me about dying. Nobody said anything. And what I did is I'm walking into my father's, bedroom, hospital room, and he's dying. And what do I say? Well, when we go fishing, that man was never going to go fishing again. That's what I'm saying. This is what people don't understand because once he dies, and I got a very awareness of it, I was horrified that somebody didn't show me it wasn't that bad. That's when I took on a whole new way because I'd already died. I died, even though I didn't flatline, I died. Everybody has to understand your thoughts die, your everything, there's death going on around you, but you have to look through the being alive in it. What did I learn from that experience? And I just, it was so horrendous to think I had an opportunity to change me as much as that person. It was not really about them. It was really about me and not my ego or my flesh or the world of man override the spirit in me. And you disappoint God. God is not trying to make you go to sin. You feel bad because you missed the mark. And missing the mark is exactly the truth. You had an opportunity and you missed it. And I remember I asked God one day, I said, will I have an opportunity to stop? My father came back and he knew. So, yes, we do have opportunities, but you got to remember, you got to be conscious. If it's there, it could be right there in your face. You might not ever see it. What you ask for is that you will be divine order, divine timing, divine plan, make it easy. We do not have to suffer. And God is not going to knock us across the room. I always say, make it easy, Lord. And if I miss it, gently put me back on the path. Gently is the name of it. I was in a 5 car accidents and slammed, and it was God that was holding the wheel on several of them. But my other son, Brian, has had 5 or 6, you know, car accidents. But that caused it. I would say to him when he first started driving, I said, Brian, whatever you do, please be careful. Well, what was I doing? I was already putting him, be careful. There was something that wasn't going to be right. I should have said, God will be protecting you, surrounding you. Now, my oldest son recognized some things because he was in a car accident. He was driving and he was heading to a tree, and the car moved over and ran into the tree backwards. And the guy that picked the car up said, if that boy had been in there, he'd been dead. That was my best friend, Gail, who was in high school, that died. And she came to me one time and said, I'm going to take care of the boys. She always did. She always did. So we do have gardeners. I'm not gardeners.
Guardian,
Yeah,
guardian angels. Is that what
guardian
you?
angels. But and every morning, her cemetery plot was right over when I would go to work to go to school, and every morning I'd hear "Good morning."
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. So I knew, and then she brought her brother here one time, and she said, "My brother is saddened," and she brought him here from Texas to see me again. And he was the first boy that I kissed when I was 15. So I kind of had a crush on him anyway. But man, I found out a lot about him, that men don't look very kindly to people like us, Danielle, because I saw some really dark things in him, and I said it, and he went, that's invasion in a way. But I just told him, I said, you can get through this. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I know that also.
I know.
Because a lot of times, if they find out
I know.
what we do or how we really are,
Yeah.
and I don't hide it, you don't hide it. It's almost like check, please. But anyway,
Well, it's funny because people don't know what we go through. I mean, I had a date, and when he found out what I did for a living, he stayed like this,
I
watching.
actually had. It's funny that you bring that up. I don't know why I was thinking about this last. I couldn't sleep last night, and I was remembering somebody blowing up my phone. They were trying to get to know me, and as soon as I said what I did for a living, they actually ran away so fast and blocked me. And I was busy getting ready for an event. I didn't. He was bothering me. You know
I
what I
know.
mean? Like I was like, okay, but I would. I don't want to take too much more of your time. But I wanted. You told me that you'd spent 18 months with Jesus. I would
Yes.
like to know, like, golden nuggets of what you could share with us. What is his view on religion in general?
He
Because
didn't.
I have. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you know
He
where I'm going.
didn't. He didn't. We didn't discuss religion.
Yeah. I
We
wonder
discussed.
why.
We discussed the truth about who he was. And like I said, he looked in front of me. I was in my angel room because my ex-husband had, at the time, my husband, he had built this angel room, and I'll tell you exactly how, because he'd had an affair and I didn't know it. So he built this beautiful place for me to, because I was into meditation and I was meeting clients at my office. And that was my office at one time. So I would get dressed up. I was so excited. I would get dressed up. I'd have makeup on and everything for him. That would be, and I would just wait. And then you'd feel him enter. He would enter and it's like a veil. And he would sit down and he said, well, what have you learned today? And then we would be somewhere else. But he told me about, like just looking at everything differently from a different set of my eyes. He would tell me about, we don't really understand each other very well. We don't take time to find out. We're too afraid. And he would talk about fear. There's only two emotions here, fear and love. But he would give you examples. He said, when we call dis-ease, that's fear. He said, if it's called he said, what is real love? He said, romantic love. No, he was talking about everything in the world is not the love that he knows. It's a radiant love. And when you walk into it, you feel it. It's all over your body. And he was just it's an incredible opportunity to witness. So, and I would even say, I'm pinching myself when the first time he came in, I felt him come in and he sat down and I thought, and I remember myself saying, well, if he's going to be sitting there and I really believe he's there, I'm going to ask him every question I ever wanted to ask. And I started to tell me, is this really true? This is true. He took me to the river of Jordan and I was baptized by him.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that because he opened up the crowd. But another thing I witnessed is when he's electromagnetic, okay? And there is a part of the Bible where the woman touches his cloak and she's healed instantly. And somebody asked me, how does that work? I said, if you're electromagnetic and you're electromagnetic and you and I both feel anything that goes around us, that's how Jesus did it. He's as sensitive like that. She touched him, tapped him. Haven't you been around? I mean, if I'm in an airport, I can feel people right behind me and beside me, and they're not saying a word, but you can feel them. Also, you feel when I'm always on a plane. Now, if I was ever going to write a book, I'd write about the plane stories, plane. I had most amazing plane stories. But you could say, and one day I was sitting in an airplane and a voice said, well, you're in a sardine can with all these people. So what do you want to do with it? And there was a voice that said, start raising the vibration because bring them to you because we got to get this thing on the road. And I mean, everybody started talking. And there was a baby in one of them when I was working in a lot on the airplane. And this baby was in front of me and it was just about 6 months old. And the mother is already nervous. You already know that. As mothers, we know she's upset because she's upsetting everybody. She's trying to, and I just start sending energy. The baby's looking at me, they had it up where I could see, and I'm going, and it just went down. And she turned around. She said, I don't know what you're doing, but thank you very much. So she could
Yeah.
feel the love I was sending to that child. Because if you're in an airplane or if that child is in there, look how many people are, they'll attack that baby and you can feel it. Now, how can we do that to innocent child? See how things have changed in this world to flip it like that? Because a long time ago, women used, I was on an airplane, a woman started passing the baby around. Everybody was holding it. I've seen it done in church too.
Yes.
Pass it on back there and you got it. And everybody's to rocking, taking care of that mother because that we honor the mother. Look at it, what they're doing now.
Yeah.
They're not honoring a mother. This is upside down. And this is from spiritual understandings where we're going if we don't stop and really flip it back up to see the greatness and who we are and the love that we can be right now.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap this up. I really appreciate your time. And so everyone watching, thank you so much. Ginny and I aren't disconnecting our podcast or whatever. What we're going to do is I'm going to go in a different direction with Ginny for my private members area, Divine Teaching by Daniela. So everyone that's joined us, thank you very much. There will be a link on here if you'd like to sign up. It's a free 30-day trial.
There
So Ginny, let's now I kind of
you
want to go rub my hands together
go. Uh-huh.
because this part's going to be more like Q&A. I'm trying to think, where do I want to start? So are you okay with this? Like, let's
Yeah, I'm
just have
fine. But
fun.
first of all, how do you feel what's been going on? I mean, has it been better or
Are we talking about what just happened?
just what happened?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Um, and you know how much time you and I have spent together, right? I was, yeah, it was, I feel like we went deeper. That's what I feel. Deeper.
I knew it was going to because what happened yesterday? I was in a different state. I was profound. It was profound yesterday. I mean, I'm getting back into myself, but profound to have a light come out of the universe like that and hit me in the chest. I knew then.
I really was surprised because I've heard the story with don't get a heart transplant so many times. And for me, literally,
Yeah, I
think of a
saw it.
lightning.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw you because I thought, what did I say? See, what did I say? It's not about what I said. It's you came into a reality of truth in it.
Yeah, but it was almost like a lightning bolt coming in this way.
Hmm.
It,
And
it, it
that's
came
how
across.
it comes in like that. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense.
Well,
Like,
that's what that man felt like. He would look like it, then go, "Don't get a heart transplant." And I'd go, it scared me. I never had anything like that.
yeah, but see, the time that you told me in the past about that, it just made sense to me in a different way
Mhm.
because my older cousin was on a transplant list.
Oh, wow.
When you hit it, you think you won the lottery.
Right.
And
Yes.
yeah, well, he didn't. He got the surgery. It was a kidney transplant. They were all thrilled. His children were still pretty young, you know what I mean? Not ready to let go of their dad. and my his mother, my aunt, didn't even know my cousin was on dialysis.
Oh,
She
wow.
didn't know anything about his health issues. And then the next thing you know, my aunt is being told by her children, "You need to get to the hospital now. He's dying." He never woke up. There was a flesh eating bacteria. He got contaminated by the transplant.
Well, that was his time to die. See, death is not the end. And they have made the death cult here has made it feel like it's the end all. It is not. They don't want us to know that.
It's the
If we
beginning.
Yeah. Well, if you knew that you could come back and come back here again, why are you going to be upset about leaving?
Well, the thing is, he came to me after that, but at the time, because I met him when I was 5 years old, and then after my mom died, like physically met him, and I really liked him so much at my aunt's surprise party. I thought he was a wonderful person. It was just the two of us, like everybody else left, and it was a wonderful, wonderful connection. And it kind of freaks me out because I notice when I have a deep connection, next thing you know, the person's gone, But okay, but I do. That brings me into the other thing. So that's why I got it on that level in the past. Today, I got it on a different level about don't get a heart transplant. But I
Right.
did want to see, because of your experiences, what are your thoughts on reincarnation?
Reincarnation to me is so carnation. I don't see it as, because I remember I really studied this. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, so I wanted to find out about it. But you do know that that was in the Bible and they took it out.
Yep, I do.
So, but the way I see it is that our soul is here. This is why it's here. But it goes from person to person to person because it's trying to relieve itself and it's trying to fix, not fix, but to relieve itself against what it's done itself with God. And it is. I mean, when you do mean things, I mean, there's people that they might have been murdered, they were murderers, but then these people would turn completely different, as from soul to soul. The soul is the one to me. I mean, but everything is live. Now, rocks are live. I mean, I see the auras off, but that's not when the Hindus or whoever that says that, that you might be that. I don't know about that. I think, but I do know I wrote a book. There's a book that I was with, and it was a book of the history of the world, and they talked about you were in carrots. I mean, this text is big, and but you read it differently. You have to read between the lines on that book. You don't read it like everything. And I got it because a client brought it to me, and she said, "There's something with this book." I read that book. It was thick. I had it read within 48 hours.
Do you know the name of it?
I will find it and send it to you. It's something. It's a history of the world, but it's a different.
It's not the Keys of Enoch, right?
No, 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 no. This
Okay.
is this is a guy that I mean I can I still have the book. I mean I still go over it, but you got to go in because I gave it. I brought it over to a friend of mine that's very much intelligent and he likes to read. You know what he said to me after he read it? He said, "There's something out about this book. It's not the same read. It's like a different reading." And I thought it's because it's in energy. People that do not, they're going to see flat,
Hmm.
is not a flat book. It's very into, but they were talking about being a carrot or a potato, and you were in the earth and you get pulled out. Then what happens to you? Go through these various, like the kingdom, the animal kingdom, all this you go through because this is why you end up coming like this. And this is what the book is talking. So you had to go through all of the processes that God has presented here. Then you're here now as a soul. I mean, it's different. But I've done a lot of research, more than people would even imagine. I have books beyond books.
It may sound cuckoo cuckoo, but I look at it more like everything has consciousness, everything.
Right.
And like I was with my dogs last night in spirit, and I didn't realize it until something happened today. And I was like, I remembered, okay, I was with those two that I love very much. But the thing is, they weren't so much dogs.
Oh, no.
I was with them, connecting with them. I feel like speaking. I wish I could remember the dream, but it wasn't a dream. And our energies were connecting. And
Right.
I even knew it when I had them, like there was something special about them. And
Yeah.
usually I do get animals that I just don't believe animals are animals.
Oh, they're
But
not, because I was an animal communicator before I was ever this. Because I was an only child. That's all I had was animals, and my dogs talked to me. And I
okay,
worked with horses, so no, they. And somebody asked me and said, "Do they talk the same way?" They talk the same way we do. They have the it's a beautiful thing because when I started working with horses, the horse, this is what they would tell on their owners. The same thing. Well, now Jeremy, we had Max, and Max told on Jeremy. I was sitting on the couch and he said, "He's hurting me." And what he had done is he disciplined him. And he said to me that he'd hurt him. And I looked at him, I said, "Have you hurt him?" He said, "Well, and then we started talking. Yeah. Max talked. My dogs talked. My cats talked.
mine did too.
Baby talks to me all the time. He's here. One day he walked through the house and he said, "I'm regal." And I said, "Yes, you are. You are a regal man." And because we have been told that doesn't happen, we ignore it.
Well, I was made fun of because when you're a child, you don't have a filter. I'm
Right.
talking about very, very, very young. And I can remember clear as day. I was sitting at the kitchen table, nobody else was around, just a dog. And I had a small TV on the table I was watching. And my parents were in a bedroom in the house painting. And the dog, I'm watching TV and he goes, Bop. I used to love Popeye. So he goes, Bye bye.
I'll tell you a story about Papa.
And so I turned and I went to go tell my parents, and they're like, "How do you know Popeye's on?" And I'm like, I think it was the dog's name was Rebel, which the dog used to. It's gonna sound really crazy, but from what I heard, the dog would keep me out of trouble.
Oh,
He
yeah.
would grab me by my diaper if I was going to run into the street and bring me
Yes.
back. He was kind of like you know, kind of sounds like a nanny, but anyway.
I had a Greta, and Greta, we had a swimming pool, and Greta would start barking and pull their diaper away from the pool. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
they were.
they
And
do.
she loved my boys. She loved them. But don't you let anybody come up there because she stood right in front of them and they wouldn't, nobody was going to hurt them. So, yeah,
Good.
no, 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 no. They have a beautiful energy
They,
and
they really do. So that's why I think we can reincarnate into anything. I think we have been everything. The other thing is, this is an avatar. This is fake. Like I've seen my past lives in so many different, past life regression in my dream state, whatever. And I know that they're not dreams because, gosh, I was in my 20s. Like I still hold on to all of it. I remember it. And one thing I can tell you is we've been every color, every religion, man, woman, like so it's not the body. The body is BS. It's like you said, the soul
the
has
soul.
these different experiences. I
Right.
didn't I mean
Now,
I
I
do
did have an experience in Florida when I was with from Jeremy, but I went with his friend Sherry, and we went to her friend's house. Now, I guess that would be what I should have said about aliens, but we went out in her backyard, and it's I can't remember, but it's one of the oldest areas of Florida, and that's where she lived. We
mhm.
walked in, and we had a grove of cedar trees that were like 15 or 20 years, up lengthwise, going
It's
like
a
this.
beautiful property. I've been there.
Yeah, okay, you have been there. And then they had like a lake on the end there.
Yes.
Let me tell you what happened. All of a sudden, that light started going off. Then we were there at the night. So it started going up and down. Then, did you see the blue people?
I
Did
was there during a very big occasion of Jose Soledad is an artist, and they were like sharing his artwork and stuff like that. Um,
No,
but
I saw
yeah,
avatars.
yeah, just when I was there, so many
Yeah, when I
people.
went to the movie Avatar, I called, well, Fran and I went back over there and I said, Fran, there was these blue people and they look like cats and they got these long tails. And I said, I was scared and I ran toward that house because I just didn't know that. And then 2 weeks later, I find an Avatar and I just went like this. My God. Well, her brother had painted one. None of them could see it but him. And she said, maybe, and I was trying to explain it with them. And I just kept, I mean, I was shocked. Okay. I was really shocked because the trees were waving in a circle, going back.
Such
Like,
a beautiful
yeah,
location, though.
you got this thing going up. And it's, I thought, is this a space or something that's going to, you're going to come up and there's going to be a ship coming out of there? But when she showed me the picture, I wasn't crazy because it followed me. And I thought, so when I saw it with Avatar, I thought they know something. I should have said that because I forgot all about that. It was such a moment, but
I
I,
love that place. I miss it. That was a very peaceful place.
it was amazing.
It is. I wanted to ask you, so you do believe in reincarnation. I think we're experiencing different, like it's almost like one night you want Italian, then you want French food, then you want German food. Like I feel like we're experiencing different things. We did this, now it's time to do that. Sometimes I think if we don't do, I hate to say do our best, but I take my soul growth seriously. I've been on my spiritual path my whole life. And it, I think you could be asleep your whole life. And whatever you chose to learn, I think we have free will, and you may or may not, up to you. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I think our soul goes into those states, vessels to draw out what they need to look at. Because when they do go out, go off or go back to where they were,
Hmm.
they'll come back again because they've got to finish it here. They've got to because we've got all our information. And this is called soul school, is the way I look at it. You're learning to be a really good soul. And a soul is about God. And you've got to have that spark. That's what you're seeking is the spark of God to ignite that in your soul so you can be who you came in here to be, the God of all gods and being a good person, you know, because that's what I think Jesus was trying to teach us is that all we are is love.
Exactly. It's not about hate and division and
No,
ego. Our world has been very divided based on ego, and we fall into the trap. It's like chocolate or vanilla. You know what I mean?
but it's
Peanut
also
M&Ms or chocolate.
illusional lies because everybody's in their own illusion, but then we're all in a Venn diagram and we're all connecting with this. So who do we serve? Do we serve that or do we find out? Because I remember I had to bungee out to one time to get out of the earth and it was like a bungee cord and I was bouncing up and down. And I remember this was this guy, well, what was his name? It doesn't matter. But and now he was like this, sitting up there, and he had one eye like this. And you're going to get in trouble because you are taking people to you as a master and not teaching them that there is a huge, large, not God, but and it's it's enormous. So yeah, I said you're gonna pay for that. That's what was stuck where I was, getting through. He was still stuck thinking that that's who he was.
Yes,
Marisha. He was the Marisha. And
gotcha.
I met him by accident because I was looking through all that trying to get out. So we go through different states. I can't say that that really happened, but I can tell you right now, certainly did feel it, and it wasn't a dream because I was not awake, but I was in a meditation.
Right. Okay, you don't have to go into this. This might be more than you bargained for. Is there any tips that you can share with people that want to try to get better at astral projection?
Well, it's so simple. It's not a big deal. Let's
I
go back.
agree, but maybe
Yes,
you'll
but
you'll
I
you can
go
do a
back.
better job.
Yeah. But what I did is I go back when I was a teacher and, spring comes and we got the kindergartners playing in the parking lot out there. And I got sixth graders. All of a sudden, they're not there anymore. They have now entertained into the kindergarten playground. And I've got bodies that are set there that, and I used to have to go like this, come back to me, come back to me. That's all it is. It's a concentrated state that you just slide right out. You're daydreaming. And that's what estrogen it is. Does that make sense?
Totally to me, but I think people believe that it's harder because
Yeah.
I've tried to do meditations with them and they're like, I don't think I did this. I don't think, but I'm like, it's just imagination and sliding. Like all I have to
You get so
do,
well, and you get so good that you know when you leave, because
you
there
can
is a
feel it.
there's a density when you walk through the density. Because when I had my stroke here, I walked right through my countertop and went right to the top of my my window, my window, and that the girl that was with me saw me do it. She saw my soul go right through the counter, and my body's standing here because I'm having, trying to figure out what happened. And then I came back, and I remember I hit the window and came back like a bungee cord and landed into my body. And that's when I went into that. Oh, it hurts. Oh my God. Because you were not, I couldn't see that until I came back in it. But, and I can do that. I mean, I can go through your body. You've seen me do it.
I
So
just
that works.
was hoping maybe you could have a tip because, like, I try to get them relaxed in a meditation
That's it right there.
and
There's,
then make a suggestion, like, do in the
but
universe, whatever. But
yeah, but breath work through the nostrils. Breath work, because they're being too much in their lungs, so they breathe too much. You shouldn't have to breathe through their lungs like that. If you really understand how it works, you'll go in and you'll feel a space that you can breathe and open up. It moves, and I that's why I did. Did I show you about Stretch Armstrong? Did I show you the doll that I bought? There's a Stretch Armstrong, and it was, I taught this in a lot of, because it stretches out. I said that's exactly what your soul does. It gets bigger and your flesh gets smaller,
yeah,
and it's breath.
I'm gonna do that again with them. It's just that it really, if you ask me, it's imagination, seeing it
But
and
see, they
to
don't see,
feel it.
yeah, but they don't see imagination the same. It's, I have a beautiful picture in my kitchen, and they have a French doors, and I just drove right through it.
Yeah,
And then people said, "Why'd you have that?" I said, "Because I knew that's exactly what it is. But you've got to get out of your own mind. You
exactly. Get out of your own way.
got to get, and then you've got to get really, really still, because you're not going to feel anything inside until you
But
really.
I do think practice makes perfect because
Oh, it
the other
does.
night it was pouring. We're in a hotel in Castello de Vide, and we have a balcony, and it's beautiful. The street light was there, and it seemed like make believe, like a waterfall or something. It was very, very beautiful. And I don't know how I do this. I could only try to describe to you what I do. I'm sitting in the chair, I think, or standing, and I just was looking at it, focusing on it,
Yes.
and I leaned into it energetically. And I was actually able to go to two different, I don't know what you would call it.
Dimensions.
I think that might be too complicated, but I'll just share with you what happened. I leaned into it, and the next thing you knew, I was in Florida. It
Yeah,
was raining. I was on my balcony. Like I stepped back into my old life.
absolutely. It's called arcing back in, because you're multidimensional. You
That's
could
what
be
I'm
in
getting
the universe,
at.
you could be in that, and then you could be over here. That's why near death experience people, they go everywhere. They could be over there, but they were in the hospital at the same time. How does that work?
It's being. I've been told that I do this, but this was on I mean, I don't think I was thinking of doing that, but I leaned in that way, and then I leaned in somehow in a different direction. But it wasn't my life. Um, I leaned into Jamie's old life,
Yeah.
so I went in two different
I've even
directions,
walked in people's bodies to find out what, clients, and you can feel the pain that,
and that's what I felt: the emotional pain, the
yes.
loneliness.
But sometimes you feel it that they didn't even know it's there, because it was something else that was put there from another generation, but you're still holding it. And you got people sitting there, I just don't understand it. And it's because you've had a past life, and it's bringing you back. Because I remember, uh, I had an alligator experience. I've had alligators and shark experiences. And I thought, well, it's because of the television. No, 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 no. No. That's why I went to the Everglades. I went back to clean out something, my soul. And yeah, I mean, I touched that alligator. I went and bought $5 for an alligator because I wanted to feel it. But why I had it, it's because I had been in the swamp. And
Hmm.
I had never, there's no remembrance of that in this lifetimes. But when I went into the Everglades, the Florida airplane hit the Everglades, and I mean that was in the 80s. I remember when it left my body and went into the television, and I thought, is that a possibility? What was that? You could see it because I can see things come out of the television,
Hmm.
and I did that didn't happen until 2016 that I went. I'm sitting on my computer. I mean, on my couch, and a voice says, "You need to go to the Everglades and collect your fragment
See,
there."
that's what it is because it's a fragment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people like I think we're nuts when we start talking about through
No.
trauma our soul fragments, and in this lifetime, that's one of the things I'm working on. It's
Yeah.
bringing my soul fragments back, and I've been doing that for quite a while. And I can't speak for anyone else, but I personally feel more solid,
Oh,
stronger.
so do I. When I went into that one, we went to it with an airboat, and that airboat was designed for that airplane crash. And I mean, the two girls that were with me, because they're clients, and they said, "God, I can't believe it." And I said, "I knew it." And when we went in, there was a family with us, and the guide, and all of a sudden, when we got to that place that I needed to gather myself, everything went silent. Alligators started coming in, birds came into the boat, and I thought, this is big. And it was. I took myself back, and it was like, we're scattered. When we are traumatized here, we scatter like a star.
Hmm.
And then you've got to collect everything back. Come on, people. This is why some people don't have all of their connections. That's why they're mad. But if they really understood, this is really happening every day,
Hmm.
24/7. And I don't believe in 24/7, it's eternal. We're still in
Yeah.
eternal.
No, I agree. I just one of the if I could give takeaways for anyone watching this is I personally, you could have your own opinion here. I think it's yes, is it work? Absolutely. But
Mm.
I think these things to do are easier than what people are teaching or sharing.
Oh,
I,
absolutely.
I just think it's a natural ability that
Yeah,
we have.
yeah, they got too many rules. When I first woke up, I read several books and I met the book owner, I mean, the author. And I
Hmm.
went up to Cincinnati, Ohio to meet this man. And he had all these rules. You got to go in this way, out there. And I'd already been
It's
going in.
ridiculous.
I know. And I thought, and I remember he was with his followers. And I was starting to do something. He said, "No, you can't do that. That's not how we do it." I said, "You all have a way to do this?" And then I realized he had not written that book. The woman that he was with, she wrote that book. And she let him take he had us all everywhere. And I'm thinking, I lasted probably 25 to 30 minutes there. And they felt me when I came in. Now I'm not aware of that because as an innocence at that time, you didn't understand they would catch you just like we would now. And I remember I walked over to the woman. And I said, "Why are you not standing up on that stage with him? You wrote that book." She was shocked. And I said, "Well, we wrote it together." I said, "No, you wrote that book and you're giving him credit." And I said, "That's incorrect."
Playing it small.
Yeah, very much so. So then I said, "Well, I'm not going to stay here." They reimbursed me right there, but kept asking me to please stay. Please. And I said, "I'm not going to stay because when somebody starts telling me how they have to, you have to do it, I'm already out anyway."
Yeah. I have found for me, my path has been to learn through my higher self, spirit, whatever you want to say, not man.
Exactly.
I
Because
am,
you never learn it anyway.
well, I feel this is very clean and it's remembering. It's all
All
information
that
that we
is.
already have.
That's all it is remembering. Everybody should remember it. But see, they've been so programmed not to remember.
But we've all been programmed to play it small. That's why.
And I
But
said,
I don't believe in it.
yeah, well, and people just don't understand what programming is. We've been programmed from the minute we were in the womb.
It's a shame because there's always another layer of it, of a faulty belief system. Bullshit.
Like when they say pull out I remember when they said pull out the onion, peels. Well, mine was so thin, I was afraid it would tear because, see, that's another thing. You got to be careful of not tearing because then you got tears. And if you got tears, that means you got to go back and fix. I mean, there's so much to that, but you don't mind doing it because you already understand how it will. I mean, I've pulled it off of me before, like Velcro. Like I even felt like there was clothes on me. Sometimes I would pull it off. But that's because you're thinning out. And that's what it is. The soul starts thinning out.
But that's why you also get more sensitive.
That's why I am the way I am. I mean,
I know. So when you were saying that it's so harsh, it's because they say the price of sensitivity is sensitivity.
that's it. And
So that's what you're
I
dealing
used
with.
to, well, my heart was closed. Because of my dad dying. Uh, and I remember the last time when I was a 16-year-old watching him go down into the ground. And I said a complete understanding right there. I said, I will never love another man like that. It hurts too bad. And I haven't.
Okay, you did something in that moment, but just say if you changed your mind.
Oh, if I'd been aware that I'd done that. I didn't find out about it until I was 52 or 53 years.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did like,
I
I
went
mean,
back.
but you said those words, oh no?
Yeah, oh, I said it exactly. I know exactly. I went back, arced in. I became right there with the burial, and how the anger I was and everything that happened. And I remember saying it. I remember watching that, and I made the statement. And I even told my ex-husband after many, many years we were divorced because we were divorced for 25 years. I called him up and said, I want to apologize because he used to say, you don't love me enough. Well, he was exactly right because I said, I'm not going to ever, because it hurts so bad.
Oh, I did a similar thing, but not yours. You were so young. I might have been 5 years older than you when I did it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. You said you were sorry or whatever, but I said it not face to face, but energetically. I
Yeah.
apologized to
Yes.
my ex-husband because you don't realize it as you're living it that you are closed off. You don't. I didn't realize that I was holding back. My heart was guarded. I
Oh,
had
my.
a wall. It's not until you do the work, and I'm like, no wonder. That was not fair.
Well, you don't even realize that I was under domestic violence the last 5 years of my marriage, and I was married almost 30 years. But when you really open all of that up, you realize that you've been lying to yourself and you've been wearing a mask in a
Masquerade.
yep, that's it, party. And everybody's got masks on and you're all doing the same thing. How's the weather? What have you done? What's a new thing you bought? Da, 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 da. I remember when I woke up to all of that, I thought, oh my God, I've been living in this dream of everybody. We did a lot of partying. I mean, we did. We had big parties, and I thought, wonder what because we weren't talking to each other. We were
Right.
drinking and having a good time, but we weren't talking to each other, really feeling each other. We were partying. And that's when I said, I remember that. I said, nope, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's when my ex-husband was upset because after I came back from that hospital, the first one with the heart attack, he literally said to me, 3 days after I had the heart attack, I walked out. He looked at me and said, I want you to go back and I want you to get in the hospital right now. And I want to find my wife. My wife is not you. I want the wife that I left.
Well, wow, it's really weird that that was spoken to you
Yeah. Oh, God.
because I was told this. You're not my wife.
Yeah.
You're not.
Who are you? You're not the person I know.
You,
But
I didn't. I was told I didn't marry you.
oh, well, see, Ron kept saying to me, you, because I changed completely in 3 days.
I know, I know, but they don't like it.
No, and that's why I stayed 5 years. But I learned to practice with them, and I learned to be very good. I got so good. This is why I'm the way I am, because I learned how to do the energy. But also, I was having Jesus experiences. I was having Socrates. I was having, amazing experiences. And but yet I was coming down, and I was practicing with the most important people in this time that has all the buttons, all the triggers, and you learn how to work through them.
Everything does help us to get to where you are right now, where I am right now.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you so much. Thank you for spending so much time with me. I do want to check in with you as a person. How do you feel?
I feel fine.
Okay, good. I want to make sure because I absolutely do not want to drain you. I
You're
don't
not
want to overtax you.
No, you're not. It's just people don't understand when you're sensitive. I get excited because I was glad to see you because you're easy to work with. There's people I don't know that I have been doing this work for quite a while, like that. Yeah, it does. It's like, and I mean, it does raise my blood pressure, but I'm also 72, and you got to be very aware of that. And I am very aware of my body. My body is very, to tell me what it did yesterday. Absolutely. Trust your body. People better start waking up to this because it's happened. There's nothing else.
Well, you're saying trust your body. Your body was talking to you.
Yeah,
And
it does talk to me.
this is what I got out of our private conversation is that you didn't really want to do what you were doing.
Mm,
And I don't know about you, Ginny, but if I go against me, I get angry.
yes. And I get sick. I can
That
get
too.
sick. Hmm.
That too. Because your body's trying to help you get out of doing something you don't want to do anyway.
No,
So, but you don't have to get sick. All you have to do is listen, and you did, and you said, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to get my friend to do this interview for
that's
me.
exactly. I knew he would do it.
No, no,
I
no,
know,
I know
I
too,
knew, and
but
if
you
not,
honored yourself. You listened, you respected, and you honored yourself. And that's how we have to live.
yes,
Not the program was saying, I gave my word, I have to do this. You
that's
were hurting
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah, or that you're obligated to somebody that I now will say, give me 24 hours before I say anything to you because I'm going to pray about it, make sure it's correct for me as well as you.
Yeah, see, I think that what you did yesterday, I know that at one point you seemed like you were into it, but your body, I had that same experience where I could not get my blood pressure down, but I was sacrificing me for three different situations.
I know.
And once I stayed in bed for 2 or 3 days, I couldn't get it under control. And I resigned my position at work on a spot. And I stopped taking phone calls. I just boom, boom told a client no.
Damn.
3 different avenues I was coming at, being,
Right.
I want to be careful with my words.
I know.
Once was like, no, I will not sacrifice myself. My children still need me. And I don't take any medication.
I know.
I take over the counter stuff like vitamins, maybe Zyrtec for my allergies, but I do not take medication. And they told me I would be on medication for the rest of my life. And I said, no, I won't.
Well,
No, I
that's
won't.
what I've been working off to get it because after the heart attack I had to, but it'll eventually, I'll have it where it'll be where I can get in and be okay with it.
You absolutely will. I really believe that. But everybody, listen to your body. Don't play doctor on yourself. Like
No,
Ginny and I both are intimate with ourselves, right?
that's a good point.
So,
I love
and
myself.
if I feel guided to go and get Western medication, like go see a doctor, get medication, I will,
Hmm.
if that's what I feel needs to be done. But I like to be still first, do a check, what's going on here, and have a conversation with myself.
Exactly.
So, but I do love you. I personally think this was a heck of a time together. I think we
Oh, I
covered a
do
lot of material. I think it's a lot of fun. I do. I think this to me seems like a lot of seasoning that we put on in the
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and I love you. I'm
I
gonna
love you too. Thank you.